The Story of Mary MacLane, Part 8. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Reading by Kristen Hughes. The Story of Mary MacLane by Mary MacLane. Part 8. February 13th. So then, yes. As I have said, I find that I am quite odd. My various acquaintances say that I am funny. They say, "Oh, it's that May MacLane, Dolly's younger sister. She's funny." But I call it oddity. I bear the hallmark of oddity. There was a time, a year or two since, when I was an exceedingly sensitive little fool. Sensitive, in that it used to strike very deep when my young acquaintances would call me funny, and find in me a vent for their distinctly unfriendly ridicule. My years in the high school were not years of joy. 2 years ago I had not yet risen above these things. I was a sensitive little fool. But that sensitiveness, I rejoice to say, has gone from me. The opinion of these young people, or of these old people, is now a thing that is quite unable to affect me. The more I see of conventionality, it seems, the more I am odd. Though I am young and feminine, very feminine, yet I am not that quaint conceit, a girl. The sort of person that Laura E. Richards writes about, and Nora Perry and Louisa M. Alcott. Girls with bright eyes and with charming faces. They always have charming faces, standing with reluctant feet where the brook and river meet, and all that sort of thing. I missed all that. I have read some girl books a few years ago, Hildegard Graham and What Katy Did and all, but I read them from afar. I looked at those creatures from behind a high board fence. I felt as if I had more tastes in common with the Jews wandering through the wilderness, or with a band of fighting Amazons. I am not a girl, I am a woman of a kind. I began to be a woman at 12, or more properly, a genius. And then usually, if one is not a girl, one is a heroine, of the kind you read about. But I am not a heroine either. A heroine is beautiful. Eyes like the sea shoot opaque glances from under drooping lids, walks with undulating movements. Her bright smile haunts one still, falls methodically in love with a man. Always with a man. Eats things, they are always called viands, with a delicate appetite. And on special occasions her voice is full of tears. I do none of these things. I am not beautiful. I do not walk with undulating movements. Indeed, I have never seen anyone walk so, except perhaps a cow that has been overfed. My bright smile haunts no one. I shoot no opaque glances from my eyes, which are not like the sea by any means. I have never eaten any viands, and my appetite for what I do eat is most excellent. And my voice has never yet, to my knowledge, been full of tears. No, I am not a heroine. There never seemed to be any plain heroines, except Jane Eyre, and she was very unsatisfactory. She should have entered into marriage with her beloved Rochester in the first place. I should have. Let there be a dozen mad wives upstairs. But I suppose the author thought she must give her heroine some desirable thing, high moral principles, since she was not beautiful. Some people say that beauty is a curse. It may be true, but I'm sure I should not have at all minded being cursed a little. And I know several persons who might well say the same. But anyway, I wish someone would write a book about a plain, bad heroine, so that I might feel in real sympathy with her. So far from being a girl or a heroine, I am a thief, as I have before suggested. I mind me of how, not long since, I stole $3. A woman whom I know rather well and lives near called me into her house as I was passing and asked me to do an errand for her. She was having an ornate gown made, and she needed some more appliqué with which to festoon it. The appliqué cost $9 a yard. My trusting neighbor gave me a bit of the braid for a sample and two $20 bills. I was to get 4 yards. I did so, and came back and gave her the braid and a single dollar. The other $3 I kept myself. I wanted $3 very much, to put with a few that I already had in my purse. My trusting neighbor is of the kind that throws money about carelessly. I knew she would not pay any attention to a little detail like that. She was deeply interested in her new frock. Or perhaps she would think that I had got $39 worth of appliqué. At any rate, she did not need the money, and I wanted $3, and so I stole it. I am a thief. It has been suggested to me that I am a kleptomaniac, but I am sure my mind is perfectly sane. I have no such excuse. I am a plain downright thief. This is only one of my many peculations. I steal money, or anything that I want, whenever I can, nearly always. It amuses me, and one must be amused. I have only two stipulations: that the person to whom it belongs does not need it pressingly, and that there is not the smallest chance of being found out. And of course I could not think of stealing from my one friend. It would be extremely inconvenient to be known as a thief merely. When the world knows you are a thief, it blinds itself completely to your other attributes. It calls you a thief, and there's an end. I am a genius as well as a thief, but the world would quite overlook that fact. A thief's a thief, says the world. That is very true, but the mere fact of being a thief should not exclude the consideration of one's other traits. When the world knows you are a Methodist minister, for instance, it will admit that you may also be a violinist, or a chemist, or a poet, and will credit you therefore. And so, if it condemns you for being a thief, it should at the same time admire you for being a genius. If it does not admire you for being a genius, then it has no right to condemn you for being a thief. And why the world should condemn anyone for being a thief, when there is not within its confines anyone who is not a thief in some way, is a bit of irony upon which I have wasted much futile logic. I am not trying to justify myself for stealing. I do not consider it a thing that needs to be justified, any more than walking or eating or going to bed. But as I say, if the world knew that I am a thief without being first made aware with emphasis that I am some other things also, then the world would be a shade cooler for me than it already is, which would be very cool indeed. And so in writing my portrayal I have dwelt upon other things at some length before touching on my thieving propensities. None of my acquaintances would suspect that I am a thief. I look so respectable, so refined, so nice, so inoffensive, so sweet even. But for that matter, I am a great many things that I do not appear to be. The woman from whom I stole the $3, if she reads this, will recognize it. This will be inconvenient. I fervently hope she may not read it. It is true she is not the kind that reads. But after all, it's of no consequence. This portrayal is Mary MacLane, her wooden heart, her young woman's body, her mind, her soul. The world may run and read. I will tell you what I did with the $3. In Dublin Gulch, which is a rough quarter of Bute inhabited by poor Irish people, there lives an old world-soured, wrinkled-faced woman. She lives alone in a small, untidy house. She swears frightfully like a parrot, and her reputation is bad, so bad indeed that even the old woman's compatriots in Dublin Gulch do not visit her lest they damage their own. It is true that the profane old woman's morals are not good, have never been good judged by the world's standards. She bears various marks of cold, rough handling on her mind and body. Her life has all but run its course. She is worn out. Once in a while I go to visit this old woman. My reputation must be sadly damaged by now. I sit with her for an hour or two and listen to her. She is extremely glad to have me there. Except me, she has no one to talk to but the milkman, the groceryman, and the butcher. So always she is glad to see me. There is a certain bond of sympathy between her and me. We are fond of each other. When she sees me picking my way towards her house, her hard, sour face softens wonderfully, and a light of distinct friendliness comes into her green eyes. Don't you know, there are few people enough in the world whose hard, sour faces will soften at sight of you, and a distinctly friendly light come into their green eyes. For myself, I find such people few indeed. So the profane old woman and I are fond of each other. No question of morals or of immorals comes between us. We are equals. I talk to her a little, but mostly she talks. She tells me of the time when she lived in County Galway, when she was young, and of her several husbands, and of some who were not husbands, and of her children scattered over the earth. And she shows me old tintypes of these people. She has told me the varied tale of her life a great many times. I like to hear her tell it. It is like nothing else I have heard. The story in its unblushing simplicity, the sour-faced old woman sitting telling it, and the tintypes, contain a thing that is absurdly, grotesquely, tearlessly sad. Once when I went to her house I brought with me 6 immense, heavy, fragrant chrysanthemums. They had been bought with the $3 I had stolen. It pleased me to buy them for the profane old woman. They pleased her also, not because she cares much for flowers, but because I brought them to her. I knew they would please her, but that was not the reason I gave her them. I did it purely and simply to please myself. I knew the profane old woman would not be at all concerned as to whether they had been bought with stolen money or not, and my only regret was that I had not had an opportunity to steal a larger sum, so that I might have bought more chrysanthemums without inconveniencing my purse. But as it was, they filled her dirty little dwelling with perfume and color. Long ago, when I was 6, I was a thief. Only I was not then, as now, a graceful, light-fingered thief. I had not the philosophy of stealing. When I would steal a copper cent out of my mother's pocket-book, I would feel a dreadful, suffocating sinking in my bad heart, and for days and nights afterwards, long after I had eaten the chocolate mousse, the copper cent would haunt me and haunt me, and oh, how I wished it back in that pocket-book with the clasp shut tight and the bureau drawer locked. And so is it not finer to be 19 and a thief, with the philosophy of stealing, than to be 6 and haunted day and night by a copper cent? For now always my only regret is when I have stolen $5, that I did not steal 10 while I was about it. It is a long time ago since I was 6. February 17th. To-day I walked over the hill where the sun vanishes down in the afternoon. I followed the sun so far as I could, but 2 even very good legs can do no more than carry one into the midst of the sunshine, and then one may stand and take leave lovingly of it. I stood in the valley below the hill and looked away at the gold-yellow mountains that rise into the cloudy blue, and at the long grey stretches of rolling sand. It all reminded me of the devil and the happiness he will bring me. Some day the devil will come to me and say, "Come with me," and I will answer, "Yes." And he will take me away with him to a place where it is wet and green, where the yellow, yellow sunshine falls on heaven-kissing hills, and misty, cloudy masses float over the valleys. And for days I shall be happy, happy, happy. For days the devil and I will love each other intensely, perfectly, for days. He will be incarnate, but he will not be a man. He will be the man-devil, and his soul will take mine to itself, and they will be one for days. Imagine me raised out of my misery and obscurity, dullness and nothingness, into the full, brilliant life of the devil for days. The love of the man-devil will enter into my barren, barren life and melt all the cold, hard things, and water the barrenness, and a million little green growing plants will start out of it, and a clear, sparkling spring will flow over it through the dreary, sandy stretches of my bitterness, among the false, stony roads of my pain and hatred, and a great, rushing, flashing cataract of melting love will flow over my weariness and unrest and wash it away forever. My soul will be fully awakened, and there will be a million little sweet new souls in the growing green things, and they will fill my life with everything that is beautiful, tenderness and divineness and compassion and exaltation and uplifting grace and light and rest and gentleness and triumph and truth and peace. My life will be born far out of self, and self will sink quietly out of sight, and I shall see it farther and farther away until it disappears. It is the last of that Mary MacLane, I will say, and I will feel a long, sighing, quivering farewell. 1,000 years of misery, and now 1,000,000 years of happiness. When the sun is setting in the valley, and the crests of those heaven-kissing hills are painted violet and purple, and the valley itself is reeking and swimming in yellow gold light, the man-devil, whom I love more than all, and I will go out into it. We will be saturated in the yellow light of the sun and the golden light of love. The man-devil will say to me, "Look, you little creature, at this beautiful picture of joy and happiness. It is the picture of your life as it will be while I am with you, and I am with you for days." Ah, yes, I will take a last long farewell of this Mary MacLane. Not one faint shadow of her weary, wretched nothingness will remain. There will be instead a brilliant, buoyant, joyous creature, transformed, adorned, garlanded by the love of the devil. My mind will be a treasure house of art, swept and garnished and strong and at its best. My barren, hungry heart will come at last to its own. The red flames of the man-devil's love will burn out forever its pitiable, distorted wooden quality, and he will take it and cherish it, and give me his. My young woman's body likewise will be metamorphosed, and I shall feel it developing and filling with myriads of little contentments and pleasures. Always my young woman's body is a great and important part to me, and when I am married to the devil, its finely organized nerve power and intricate sensibility will be culminated to marvelous completeness. My soul, upon my soul, will descend consciously the light that never was on land or sea. This will be for days, for days. No matter what came before, I will say, no matter what comes afterward. Just now it is the man-devil, my beloved, and I, living in the yellow light. Thinking of living with the devil in a bare little house, in the midst of green wetness and sweetness and yellow light, for days. In the gray dawn it will be ineffably sweet and beautiful, with shining leaves and the gray, unfathomable air and the wet grass and all. "Be happy now, my weary little wife," the devil will say, and the long, long yellow gold day will be filled with the music of real life. My grandest possibility will be realized. The world contains a great many things, and this is my grandest possibility realized. I will weep rapturous tears. When I think of all this and write it, there is in me a feeling that is more than pain. Perhaps the very sweetest, the tenderest, the most pitiful and benign human voice in the world could sing these things, and this feeling set to their own wondrous music, and it would echo far, far, and you would understand. End of Part 8.